last topic of the night. Let's talk about our top 5 PlayStation games. So the rule is you can only have one game per franchise, and it had to be exclusive at least at one time on the PlayStation platform. It doesn't even if it's ported later on, it's okay.
Okay.
So actually, let me start with mine. So let me pull up GG, and we'll get started. All right. So my number 5 PlayStation game of all time is Shadow of the Colossus, the original. You can put the remake on the same level because pretty much the same game, but even though it doesn't age well, like control wise, that game was a masterpiece at the time. Like it was just so memorable. Like the jaw dropping animation, jaw dropping cinematography, and the big titans on the screen, and the mechanics, and the storyline was memorable. It reminds me of the G4 days where they used to show like trailers and gameplay clips as like for like an hour long as a show, and Shadow Colossus would come on and the music would come on like and it showed like it was just a mind blowing like, oh my god, what is this game? And yeah, the game was really ahead of its time. Like I said, it does not age well gameplay wise. Like the controls are not good. If you played the PS3 version, it does not play good. Because they reported it on PS3. It's really really memorable. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. No, I was just gonna say the remake was the remake was PS4 because that was like 2014, 2015. Yeah, Blue Point did that. That's right. Yeah. I'm gonna be honest. I played about an hour of it back in the day, and I haven't touched it since.
Yeah, that's probably the game that would, if you didn't grow up with it, you probably won't like it as much. Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's what I'm worried about. I definitely intend to get back into it at some point, but I'm like, I got other games on my backlog that I want to play more, more than it. So I don't exactly want to force myself to do it unless I just have absolutely nothing else to play, which is not going to happen anytime soon.
And do a top 5 list of like PlayStation is so hard when it's like one of the biggest juggernauts in the whole world. Like I can name you like 10 games right now that could be in this top 5. Like that was really hard. 'Cause I almost put Siphon Filter there, or Jak and Daxter, or Horizon or something. So, but Shadow Colossus is just too memorable to me. And when I think of PlayStation, it's one of the first things I think of. So,
the thing is for me in terms of like, I mean, I could give you a top 10.
I give you a top 50. Sure.
The bottom 5 of that top 10, while they would be games I would enjoy, they probably wouldn't be games that like mean a lot to me.
Yeah.
Personally. So I think
the
it's more difficult to find those.
The thing with me is like, this will be a quick tangent, I promise. Is that if we just did like third party as well, like I mean, and if it was exclusive on PlayStation, like the list would be so like really different. Like it'd be like I'd be mentioning like Okami and like Devil May Cry, Metal Gear Solid, that kind of stuff. Like that's totally like I associate all those with PlayStation and Spyro and all that.
I never grew up playing Shadow of the Colossus. I mean, I knew about it and I saw it and I watched G4 back then.
Yeah.
I did play. I was able to rent from the library back when I had a PS4 a few years ago. I rented the remake. I liked it okay, but even with the remake, the controls felt kind of janky, and for me, that kind of like, traverse the land, kill a boss, traverse the land, kill a boss. For me, that just wasn't it. But there's no doubt that the game was incredibly impressive for its time. The music is top notch. The atmosphere is excellent. The twist is great. So it has a lot going for it. I've never really been a big fan of it gameplay wise.
Yeah.
But I can't deny watching other people play it is a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's hit on your guys' number 5 now. Let's start with James. What is your number 5 PlayStation game?
You guys are gonna hate me for this.
Oh, geez.
Any guesses?
Shrek
2. Gran Turismo 7.
Not Gran Turismo 7. Definitely not Gran Turismo 7.
What is your taste? You're gonna say don't say Resistance is gonna be number 5.
Yeah,
No.
I was gonna say it's not resistance.
I expect that to be number one.
It's
number two.
Killzone. It's Killzone Shadowfall. We all know it.
I actually never got into Killzone. I kind of wish I did though.
Watch him be like
No,
Little Big
it's
Planet.
actually-
James is the
It's Little Big Planet 3.
James is the. Oh no, it's gonna be Sackboy's Big Adventure. I bet.
I don't. I like Sackboy's Big. I haven't even.
Oh,
finished
he's gonna
that
say
game.
Dreams, isn't he?
Yes, I'm gonna say Dreams.
Ah.
We figured it out eventually.
Wait, no. Let's
took
be
5
glad
tries.
that it's only number 5. Let's be
Yeah,
glad
that's
that
true.
it's only number 5.
So you're telling me Dreams is the top 5 PlayStation game of all time?
Yes.
For him.
Look,
Okay.
I listen.
I'm just playing.
Dreams is one of the biggest fumbles in PlayStation's history because I genuinely believe Dreams had the potential to be one of the most important games in PlayStation's history if they had marketed it, if they had handled it right.
That's true.
But they didn't. Like, there was so much potential in Dreams, and there still is, but they're
Yeah.
just gonna, like, they didn't market it right when it came out, and it's just gonna slowly fade away.
It could have been their
Fast
Minecraft.
He's-
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no. Here's the thing. I think if they made it completely free to play from the get go and just made it like maybe not integrated with like the PlayStation ecosystem, but like actually just like hell, even if they've like had like imagine if they had Dreams alongside Astro's Playroom just pre-installed on the PlayStation 5,
Yeah.
just like as a like,
Like
yeah,
a-
this is
like
something.
a Wii Sports.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think that would have been a much better way. But the fact that it's like you have to pay for something that isn't even like that isn't like an actual like studio made, like properly funded, research developed game. Like to general audiences is a gamble in itself. you
It
know?
definitely would have benefited from being free, in that way. But I mean, I also understand that they need to make money from it, and they didn't want to
Yeah, that's
monetize
the
anything
thing.
within it, which could be perceived
Yeah.
as predatory.
Yes.
I think they should have, and I'm not a marketing guy, but I think what they should have done at the very least is like put more effort when it came into getting people into it, and not only that, getting people to make things in it, because there are a lot of
Yeah.
really talented people who make things in Dreams. But if they put more effort into getting people to do that, when it came out, they really could have gotten
Yeah.
the ball rolling on something that there was potential for Dreams to be the YouTube of video games. And that is kind of, I remember before Dreams came out, watching like interviews about it from people at Media Molecule, and that was the thing they kept saying was like, it's YouTube for games, right? You can make stuff and post it for everyone else to play, or you can, if you are not creative, you can just play stuff. And so there's something for everyone to do.
Yeah.
And so if more people were given the opportunity to get into that, were pushed to get into that,
Yeah.
there was so much potential for it to be great.
Yeah, I think Dreams is a perfect example of like when Sony has like a creative idea, and then like they don't put any support into it. Like, you know what I mean? Like they'll do like, oh, we have Vita, but we're not really gonna support it. Oh, we have VR, but we're not really gonna support it. Dreams is like, oh, we have an awesome idea here. We can create our games here, and we can be like be like super creative. And then it's like Media Molecule's like their smallest studio. They didn't really get any support. The game barely got any advertisement. It's just like they
did
just
nothing
now
with
put some
Concrete
plus.
Genie, too. They
Yeah,
did nothing with Concrete Genie, and the whole studio behind
Right.
it is now closing. So
and it's not on. Why is Dreams not on PC? I really don't understand. Like that should have been the first game shown put on
many-
PC.
So many missed opportunities with Dreams. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's my number 5.
I mean,
Okay.
just to be fair, when I'm teasing James, I don't really hate Dreams. I thought it was disappointing. Like I wish they did more with it. I wish they really supported it. I wish like there was legitimate like when people sell me in on the game, it's always like, oh, cool, like little indie mini game kind of things. But I'm like, can you? And I'll see some really awesome realistic scenes that people do, but I just wish like there was more to it, because but that's not like that's more like Sony's fault, as we said, for not supporting it. But anyway, Dory, what is your number 5 PlayStation game?
my number 5. All right, so brief little history about me. I was into gaming from the late 90s, early 2000s until the mid 2010s. when I got back into gaming around 2018, late 2017. So a lot of these games are going to be new. They're not. There's only one game on here that's I guess that you could consider old. But anyway, I was thinking about a lot of games that are, for me, like 4.5s or 5s. These aren't like favorite games. Like for me, these are like top games, like the best games. I have to say, I think Horizon Forbidden West is my number 5. It almost didn't make the cut. I almost put Final Fantasy over it. But my frustrations with Final Fantasy's Endgame, these are all little nitpicks, had me put Horizon over it. I love the story of Aloy. I love the combat. There are aspects that I don't like the dodge roll is pretty much useless a lot of the time. But I love the weapon wheel. I love the open world. It's a game that I've played many hours of. Love the characters, love the story, the voice acting, the writing. There's a lot of LGBTQ rep recently with it too, which is great. It's just a terrific story and a terrific. It was one of the first games also I played when I got back into video games on my PS4. Wasn't the first, but it was one of the first ones, and I remember being like awed because I hadn't played a game since I think maybe Skyward Sword.
Oh wait, did you say Forbidden West though, or do you mean?
Oh well, yeah, I know. I just was saying like.
Oh, okay.
Like the first
Horizon.
Horizon was the first game series that I got into. Sorry, misspoke. But Forbidden West really brought everything from that first game, and I think really upgraded it. I mean, the combat's a lot better. The exploration is really good.
Yeah.
All things I liked about in the first game, but I think are made even better in this one.
Yeah. I agree.
I think it's. Yeah, I'm really excited for the threequel, the trilogy to be completed. And I don't know. Yeah, I don't really have too much more to say about it. I think that a lot of the elemental weaknesses are really well done, and there's a lot more strategy in the game. The stealth mechanics are pretty decent, and it's just a fun game. It's a really fun game to play. Not without its frustrating moments here and there. And I'm not gonna pretend it's perfect, but has a real big place in my heart, especially because I'm very picky about open world games.
Like I said this on Discord, but I Horizon gets unneeded hate from people, mainly because it's next to like Elden Ring.
They get a Twitter
and Zelda. But that's Twitter.
It's just another Twitter thing,
Yeah. So but I do understand that. Like, I don't want Sony like remaking the first game, and I don't want like.
No.
I don't want 1,000 Horizon games either. I think it's time to like do a third game and then kind of give it a break a little bit.
Yeah, I agree with that.
There's already 3 Horizon games, and there's gonna be a 4th one, so it's like,
they're like planning like a whole franchise and spin-off, and I'm like, that doesn't feel necessary. I would just do the 3rd one and then move on to something else.
Even Call of the Mountains.
Yeah,
it could have been better, but.
Well, no, we've got the 3rd game coming out, and then we've also got like that co-op game, haven't we?
Yeah, so there's gonna be 5 Horizon.
Yeah, at least.
But anyway, I agree. Forbidden West is really good, for sure. That was one of my best games of the year last year. Mitch, what is your number 5?
My number 5. I mean, to be fair, I didn't really do mine in any particular order, but if I had to do a number 5, I'd say The Order 1886. Probably the
I did not expect
most botched. Yeah, next to Dreams, probably the most botched. PlayStation exclusive in recent memory.
Yeah.
Even if just the fact that Radio Dawn has just gone completely radio silent since the game came out, like what, 2016, 2015.
Zuckerberg bought them.
Oh yeah.
Really?
Yeah, they're part of Meta now.
I forgot about that. I'd blocked that out.
Yeah, they.
I didn't. Well, that makes sense then.
You would think they were first party, but they were only second party with Sony, and then they got bought out.
Yeah,
by
I mean, because
Facebook.
what they did all the God of War PSP games, didn't they? And then they
And then
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
I've been seeing a lot of love on Twitter for this game recently though.
Yeah.
The last few,
It's.
I agree. The last few years, the praise for this game has picked up a bit. I mean, it's.
I think it's.
I'll let you go first.
And
I'll talk about it.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, pretty much exactly what you're saying. It's like people are recognizing its positives a lot more now, but I'd say like a good 80% of that is just for the fact that we don't have to pay $60 for it now. Like you can get it for like $5-10, if that.
Yeah, it's in the bargain bin.
Because like yeah,
Not even
exactly. Like
joking.
this is like a. Yeah, like this is I think like if this was to release today, I wouldn't pick it up for any, like at launch. I don't think it should have been priced anywhere like above 50, 40
I
bucks.
spent $60 in that game, and I platinumed it in 5 hours.
Wow, sucks, man.
And I didn't rush it.
Feels
Like
bad,
it was
man.
legit, like a 5 hour game.
Yeah,
Yeah, I can
Yeah,
understand
it's-
the backlash at launch for that,
Yeah.
but
yeah, definitely. Like I think there's like as someone who got it for dirt cheap, there's a lot of stuff in here to really love. Like I love the setting. I love the lore they have, like with lichens and vampires. I love the idea of like how they've like got the Knights of the Round Table, and they've got like this like Tesla, the energy stuff going on. Like there's so much cool stuff. It is such a, I don't want to say unique setting, because like, you know, like new age, medieval,
Yeah.
Victorian era stuff like that's been done before, but it's like for a Sony first party title, such a cool idea that it's just hasn't been picked up on again, and
especially
it's a real shame.
especially that like it's a linear game, which doesn't
Yeah,
sound particularly interesting, but like
yeah,
is
like it-
Naughty Dog the only PlayStation studio making linear games now?
that I was literally thinking about this a few days ago. Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much. I mean,
Even that has like open.
No,
areas,
even-
mostly.
well, yeah, exactly. Like, only other game I can think of in recent memory is Callisto Protocol, and that's like just as linear,
And that's not even a
if not more
first-party
than
game.
this is.
Yeah.
Well, no, exactly. Oh, yeah, but like,
They
like
help
in the
fund it.
industry, that's
Yeah.
like, yeah, exactly. It's just,
That's good. Yeah. Now you think about it. Yeah. You're right.
But the
yeah, good. Like,
the thing as well, and the thing that I've seen a lot of praise about for the game on Twitter, specifically in the last few weeks, is how important it was for graphics in games.
yeah,
Like
Yeah.
it demonstrated a whole
it
new way
still holds
to-
up incredibly well.
Yeah, like that. I think somebody was saying that like it's part of the reason that a lot of developers, like that games, made such a huge leap in how they look from the PS3 to the PS4, and there hasn't been that leap from the PS4 to the PS5.
No.
No, well, because something I noticed is that like early, like the first 2, maybe 3 years of the PS4 gen, you really felt like all the devs were like pulling out all the stops in order to make their games look as amazing as possible, to like really showcase the leap from PS3 to PS4. Now though, and then like, you know, you get to like the later years of the PS4 generation, and it's maybe it's just because we've kind of gotten used to how they look, but like it feels like there's less of a focus on like making the game look pretty as possible, and instead focusing on like performance and frame rate and stuff, which is good. But it's like, I mean, we were talking about it yesterday, but like Batman Arkham Knight, that holds up ridiculously well, if not like better than even some of the games coming out nowadays.
Yeah.
Like Gotham Knights, it looks worse than it. So I'd even argue like Infamous Second Son, like at least in terms like, you know, how its open world and how its lighting engine looks is just fantastic.
Yeah. This shit.
And yeah, like so many early PS4, Xbox One gen games still look like they could be released, you know, like
Yeah.
within the last couple of years or so, and pass graphically.
This generation is more about the performance than the graphic.
Exactly.
The leap is more in
Yeah.
the frame rate. Like having 60 frames on consoles was not a thing last gen, obviously.
Because we have unless you had the Pro, and even then it was like rare
Yeah, it's checkerboard.
to hit 60 FPS.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Then I guess we're used to it now, but it's like it's a big jump from going from 30 to 60. Like I can't even play games in 30 anymore, or at least at least like if I start off in 30, then I'm fine. But if I go from 60 to 30, my eyes can't handle it.
The thing I've without getting into a tangent, the thing I've noticed playing a lot of like recent PS3 gen games now, is that I really do miss that era of just like having single player games where we can just kind of sit back, like just let a story take place and just like have a linear experience, not in a way that was like too linear to be constrictive, like Callisto Protocol was, just like enough to Like, you know, like give me enough freedom to go off the beaten path occasionally, but like still like have it focused and fast paced enough to be entertained.
I agree.
I just don't have that anymore.
Right, as great as this year has been, is way too many long games. Like every game in my top 10 pretty much is like 40 to 50 hours each. So it's like, ugh.
Yeah.
And there's another one coming out.
The shortest game in my top 5 list at the moment, which I mean you could say either Dead Space or Resident Evil 4, they're both like on average 13 to 15 hours for me to beat, and even then it's like other people have taken like upwards of 20 hours because they're taking their time more. Like it's yeah,
but the shortest game for me is Hi-Fi Rush, but let's move on now because
that's true,
this will take forever if we keep up. So my next game is Spider-Man, PS4 or PS5. It doesn't.
Nice.
Someone had to.
Yeah, Spider-Man. Now there's a lot of games I could have mentioned, but I just because I beat it 4 times now, and it is very memorable. It's Sony's one of highest selling franchises now. If they keep making Spider-Man games, it will beat Gran Turismo at some point. I don't know how long they're gonna keep doing Spider-Man, but right now it's like they're a huge cash cow. Like they've probably I think it's sold over 40 million or whatever. But that's not why I like it. Obviously, I'm just a giant Spider-Man fanboy. I love Spider-Man, and the games are really great. It has great story, great writing, really fun gameplay, even if it gets repetitive sometimes. The traversal is the best ever. There's nothing more fun than swinging around. The city is amazing.
They need to change up the swinging for the second one. They need to change it up.
Yeah, they could.
Sorry. No, I'm just echoing what I've heard on Twitter.
Yeah.
No,
those spice it
exactly.
up a little. They could do. I guess they could do a little more with it. I guess I don't know.
I mean, they have the web wings though. That's enough for the traversal, I guess. But yeah, anyways, sorry. Continue.
And especially since I played it on PC for like a month now, and it's like a totally different game on PC. It's like you talk about leaps and bounds of like generations. Like the leap and bound of this generation is ray tracing. Like, it's absolutely gorgeous if your computer can handle it. The ray tracing, this game looks absolutely incredible. It's like...
How do the puddles look? Do the puddles look okay?
Amazing. Everything has a reflection. It's like, it's mind-blowing how good this game looks.
Incredible. They fixed the puddles.
On a PC. Yeah.
Thank God.
And I'm thinking about, like, if I look at the PS4 version on 2018, which blew my mind back then, like, when I saw the trailer for that game, I was like, oh my God. When he was, like, jumping on the tables and chasing the helicopter... in the E3 trailer, I was like, oh my, I was like freaking out. I was like, I can't believe this. And that's the sad thing about Sony right now is I haven't had that kind of trailer yet in quite a while where I'm like, oh my God, I have to have this game. But anyway, it's everything's consistently great about it. I think Insomniac is just really good. It has its flaws. It definitely gets very repetitive. It does the same animation 1,000 times. You chase a car and you pick it up, and 100%ing all the districts was really stupid and pointless.
Yeah.
But and the side quests were really bad. The side missions were really bad in that game. Like I wish they had like Arkham City kind of like side missions.
The 3 biggest problems for me and why it's not on this list is the side missions, the the stealth stuff, which I'm not even as hard on as everybody else, but I can't deny it's not as good as everything else. And the puzzles. Yeah. Which, again, I didn't dislike. I only skipped a couple of them, but those 3. Make what could have been like a 10 out of 10 game for me a 9 out of 10.
Now I'm like hardcore old school PlayStation gamer, so I know some people are gonna get mad at me like for putting a Spider-Man game in here in the top 5 because I could have easily put like a really old school like Jak and Daxter or something in this, but Spider-Man is just more memorable for me. Like it's just because I played it so many times, and it's just when I think of Spider-Man now on PlayStation, I don't want to call like gaming. I think of like PlayStation now, so it's just iconic.
I mean,
I think at this point,
for a time when I thought of Spider-Man, I just thought of Insomniac Spider-Man. Anyways, like I think this is like some of the best characterization and writing we've had for the character in years, if not ever.
Yeah, so this is more of a personal choice for me. I mean, because my list only has exclusives. I don't have any like third party. Because I'm not gonna say Metal Gear Solid. Because obviously, if I was doing a legit PlayStation, like third party including, I would have Metal Gear Solid like 2 or 3 in the top 5. But as like I'm only doing first party, so yeah, Spider-Man is just iconic. So, for me, James, what is your number 4?
My number 4
is
Gran Turismo.
Gran Turismo 7.
Which
Uh,
one?
The first one. The first one.
Oh, okay. 'Cause
The original.
So if
my-
you add a little line to the left of it, it's actually what
'cause
James means.
I could have put Gran Turismo 3 in my top 5. I'm curious why you have the first
Oh.
one as well.
I have the first. Well, mainly because I didn't ever play a lot of 3. I kind of dropped off the franchise during the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so I played the first one as a kid, and then I might have played some of the second one and maybe a little bit of the third one, but not enough to really remember. And I really jumped back into the franchise until 5.
Yeah.
So the first one is kind of the reason that I like racing games. I think it was the first racing game that I ever played. I used to play split screen co-op. No, not co-op. Sorry, split screen, like, you know.
Yeah, racing.
Yeah, and there's just something about that. Like, if I were to go back and play that first Gran Turismo game again today, I just know that I would be washed over with nostalgia for everything about it. Right, the menus, the way everything's laid out, the sound effects, the spinning cars on the vehicle select thing, and like that game cemented such a unique style that is carried on
yeah.
for every game in that franchise until the unfortunate release of Gran Turismo 7.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a really good, a really great racing game.
I totally agree with you. Gran Turismo 1 is classic. It was their highest selling game, I think, on PS1, or like of all time for quite a while, wasn't it? I think so.
Really?
I don't know. Probably. I mean, it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, it was a huge seller. Gran Turismo was like their marquee franchise. Like it was like on the level of God of War, like marketing wise for them, like for a long time. Like people forget how iconic Gran Turismo was. It just fell off like last few iterations, and Forza's taken over. But yeah, James, the first game is so iconic and amazing. I'm totally with you on that.
And like, it still holds up today.
Mm-hmm.
Like, obviously, it looks like a PS1 game,
Yeah.
but it looks. You can see the pixels and everything, but it hold up.
They should totally put it on premium. I wonder if they did put the first game on premium. That's my biggest
They
problem.
haven't even
problem.
ported it. It's not even. I don't think you can even play it on PS4.
Because
PS5.
I'm telling you guys, the plus system the new tier system is amazing, and but the premium part, like with the PS1 games, they should have so much more PS1 games. That would be an awesome game on there.
I'm surprised they haven't, put out the original through PS Plus with with the movie coming out. I'm surprised they haven't done that yet.
Well, that's because they're using the movie to market the new one.
Yeah, they want
They
you
want
to buy
to spend-
7.
Oh, okay, that's true. That's true. That's
Although
true.
I told you, like I told you guys before, if you have a VR too, like Gran Turismo 7 is absolutely incredible. Like you can ignore all the flaws because it's so mind-blowingly good. That VR saved it for the hardcore audience. Like obviously most people don't have VR, but if you do have it, it changes that whole game. It makes it like go from like bad to solid or decent. Anyway,
I can imagine.
yeah.
Such high praise.
Yeah. Dory, what's your number 4?
My number 4 is a nice little segue from Seb's number 4. Mine is Miles Morales instead of the original Spider-Man. I think this did everything that Spider-Man did, but better. I think the combat is better. Maybe not everything, but I think the combat is better. There's not really any stealth sections. There's not really as many puzzles, and the story's a lot more compact. It's easy breezy. Actually, I prefer to speedrun the first game over this game because you can't skip the cutscenes, which is bizarre to me.
Yeah.
And actually, I learned this from Miles Morales speed. You can't skip most of the cutscenes in Miles Morales. And actually, Insomniac did a patch at one point, and for some reason, they added a couple more cutscenes that you couldn't skip. So I don't know. I don't know what's up with them in this game. But speedrunning aside, which is a niche complaint, this game is very easy breezy to go through. You can definitely argue the story isn't as strong as the first one. I think that would be fair. But I think the combat is so good. Miles's character is really good. I think this is such a necessary bridge between 1 and 2. I think it's awesome that obviously we've had Miles for a while, and he's been at front and center, even before this with Spider-Verse and stuff like that. But to add that to video games is so great for, people of color and stuff like that. I think that's awesome. In general, this was one of my favorite games of the year, and the review I wrote for it's still one of my favorite reviews I've ever written for a game. It's just incredible web swinging, incredible action, incredible voice acting. The only negative things I can say is just the story is, a well-trodden story about, kind of figuring yourself out and deciding what it means to be a hero and all that kind of stuff. But I don't think they do it badly.
And Troy Baker.
I think
No.
well, sure. I think they do it. I think they do a great job. Honestly, forgot Troy Baker was even in the game.
Yes.
But yeah, I just think it's such a terrific game. It's one of my favorite. It is probably my favorite superhero game of all time, actually. It's just such an incredible experience, and the graphical experience is good. Oh, the other thing too, first game I've ever platinumed. I'm pretty sure at least one of the first games I've ever platinumed. Very easy platinum. So easy that even I was able to do it. That's how easy it was, at least for me.
Have you done the first game?
I did 100% on a lot of things, but I eventually got, for similar reasons to Seb, I got tired of it, and I was like, this isn't worth it. But the side quests are done a lot better. There's not really any stealth missions, and there's not really any puzzles, and it's a much more compact experience because of that. I still don't know about charging as much as they did for it, but not much you can do about that.
Well, I thought it was worth the value because you got the PS5 version of Spider-Man as well.
That's true. I did
But I'm with you. It was 30, 40.
I think
40,
the base version for PS5 was like $50, and then for $70 you got the edition with remastered bundled in.
I remember.
Yeah.
I can't believe it's been 3 years, but I still remember the first day I got the PS5, and I put the first game I played was Miles Morales, and like the mall scene was just mind blowing.
So good, so flipping good.
So people always go.
The villains.
Go ahead.
The villains are really great, and I know the twists are kind of predictable, but I still think they did a really great job with those characters and what ends up happening and stuff like that. Soundtrack's really great too. Also, Spider-Man the Cat is in this game, so it's an automatic 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
The alternative costumes are so good too. It's just well. I have very little negative to say. Combat is like my favorite thing. But go ahead, Mitch.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's one of the rare games where like almost all of the alternate costumes are really good.
Yes.
Like, because like a lot of the costumes in the first game, I was just kind of like, who would ever wear that? Like the I think they had like the Ghost Spider one. They had the one where it's like
I immediately thought of that.
Yeah,
one. I wore it once, and
then
I don't know why anyone would wear it.
And then they had the one where it's like he was like all blue and neon, and he had like this big ass gauntlet wrist things.
It's tough, especially for Miles, because he doesn't have as many alternative costumes, right?
No,
he was done through Ultimate Comics, and Ultimate Comics is 21st century. We have a lot less material to work from in terms of the comic book source material. But they still did such a great job.
Yeah, no, they made a lot of their own original costumes, which was good. And
exactly.
I think they seem to be doing a similar thing for the second game, but at least like the ones they showed off for like the pre-order or deluxe edition are like.
I've noticed. I've also noticed a nice black suit for Peter that looks really slimming. I think it's going to go great for him. I think he's going to have a good time, and it's probably going to go well for everybody involved. That's what I think.
Oh yes. No strings attached.
That's it about Miles Morales. Love the game.
Quick tangent. I just realized I messed up my list, but.
Oh,
that's fine.
Because I totally screwed up my list.
We're all professionals.
Yeah, my number 4 is not Spider-Man, so
sad.
I'll fix that.
Okay,
later. I'll fix it later. All right.
We'll fix that in post.
I'll just tell you after Mitch goes. Go ahead, Mitch. What's your number 4?
Jak and Daxter, the first one, because that's the only one I've played
Classic.
and platinumed. But
Fire.
you reminded me of it because I'm like, oh, I'm trying to think of PlayStation games that people wouldn't typically go for. And then you mentioned Jak and Daxter. I'm like, of course. So I only played this a few months ago, like this year, recently. And I platinumed it in the one playthrough, and I loved it. I had a great time with it. It took some getting used to because for some reason they have the camera horizontally inverted. So
Yeah.
if you push it to the left, it turns right. If you push it to the right, it turns left. Anyways, I think yeah, like I loved it. I think it was the. Ironically enough, I kind of bounced off the Spyro Reignited trilogy when I
Same.
bought that, just because it was like, I don't know, like the combat really wasn't all that involved. It was just basically, Crash Bandicoot, but with extra steps.
What it is?
Spyro. The Reignited trilogy. I fell off of it.
Get away from me.
You're wrong.
Yeah,
That's not
this
you.
is like
Not
Get away
bad,
from
not bad.
the episode of Bad Takes from Mitch.
This is
Good
your
lord.
third bad
Yeah,
take tonight.
yeah.
So let's keep
Yeah.
going.
James agreed with me on one or two of them, so I'm
One-
safe from
one
at
of
least
them.
one of them. One of them.
Spyro was
the
just
exception.
Crash. What did you say? Spyro was just Crash for what?
With extra
Extra
steps,
steps?
I
with
said-
less steps. Spyro is Crash with less steps.
There's like nothing in
easier
common.
and more accessible.
They like literally have nothing in common.
Okay,
Besides being a platformer and an animal.
but like I mean, Crash is just level based, whereas Spyro is like very hub based, and you go much more wide open areas. But anyways,
Yeah.
Jak and Daxter was
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it was just so much fun. Like I just found it so much more appealing. Personally, I think
Jak
the
Daxter's a
traversal had a
masterpiece.
decent
I'm
amount
with
of
you. The first
Yeah.
game is amazing.
I played about barely an hour of the second one. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Immediately just fell off of it.
I like Jak 2 and 3, but
Um,
first game is the most memorable, I think.
Yeah. I like you can immediately tell with the second one that like, oh yeah, this is from like that early to mid 2000s era where they're just
Yeah.
trying to be as edgy as possible.
I would love I would love if Naughty Dog goes back and makes a game like that again. Like it's kind of time to go back. It's kind of time to go back to like not like a cartoony game, but like something a little more. They don't always have to do like a gritty Last of Us kind of game. They could do,
I love Naughty Dog. I love what Neil Druckmann does, but I just don't see current Naughty Dog doing a Jak and Daxter game without doing like this big story thing. I'm sure, like if they did, I'm sure the story would be amazing. I just want a casual platformer collectathon game that I can sit down, listen to a podcast while I'm watching it, and relax. Like I don't want all these different strings and stuff attached. It's just
I
Yeah.
want
too annoying.
a Jak and Daxter game where Jack gets brutally murdered, and Daxter has to go on a quest for revenge.
Yes, sounds good.
Daxter
It
did
wouldn't be divisive at all.
Daxter did get his own game though too.
No.
If you didn't know.
Mm.
There was a PSP game where you actually played
The
as Daxter.
PSP, yeah.
They should put that on premiums too, but yeah. Anyway,
Shout out to all the portable PlayStation spin-offs of popular franchises, made by different developers.
yeah.
Yeah.
They actually might have.
Imagine if that was done by Ready at Dawn as well. Was it? Let's check.
I don't know. We
I
actually
can't
might.
imagine ever being ready at dawn. I'm not ready for anything at dawn.
Yes, they did. They did do it.
Mm.
They did it.
And we haven't
thought
got.
so.
We haven't got. We haven't gotten like. I'm surprised they haven't put Uncharted and Golden Abyss on another PlayStation platform yet. Like I always thought they were gonna put like a PS4 version of it, and they just never did. That's like
That's just what happens
that's
when
actually
you
that's
when
actually
you
a
let
game. Yeah, sorry.
Studio
What a
bend.
bunch of bums.
It's
actually a good. Game.
like 1 second they're doing a Golden Abyss, the next they're doing a Days Gone.
That's true.
That's what we get.
They
That's what we
certainly
get
do
for trusting
bend.
them.
Give us another siphon filter. That's what we want.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Or just not a Days Gone 2, please.
yeah, I like Days Gone, but yeah, I don't need a sequel.
It's no.
But are you finished, or I don't want to like cut you off?
Yeah. That I was gonna say that's really all for Jak and Daxter.
Gotcha.
That's my hot take.
So I messed up my list completely. So I'm gonna
I just
say
want to remind everybody, by the way, or inform everybody, this was Seb's idea to do this segment, and he's the one who messed up his list.
I messed up my list because I forgot the 2 game rule, and so when I look at the number, I just like my brain just missed on the number. So my number 4 is supposed to be Bloodborne. Bloodborne's incredible.
Oh.
Bloodborne's a masterpiece. Bloodborne is just absolutely an incredible experience. One of the best Souls games by far. The music, the atmosphere, the lore, everything in that game is just incredible. So I'm gonna say it's tied with Spider-Man. How about that? Number 4. Number 3 for me is Uncharted 2. Uncharted 2 is, in my opinion, the best Uncharted game. Though I do think 4 is very close. I just think Uncharted 2 is more of a tight experience because I think Uncharted 4 has big open sections that I thought were boring, and I thought there was a lot of padding in that game. But Uncharted 2 is very like cinematic. That was like I think that has to be like their first game where like Sony decided we're gonna make games like this.
It's one of the best intros to a game ever. I would say.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
it's like so iconic.
It's definitely. I mean, like Uncharted 1 kind of laid the foundations, but Uncharted 2 really cemented that. Like, yeah, this would be the direction Sony would be going in.
Yeah.
You know, going into the next generation.
Because you know what? When you think about it, right? Like Sony has so many iconic games from like PS1 and PS2 and everything, but like you realize how dominated they are by third party. Like when people think of like PlayStation, they always think of like Metal Gear Solid and stuff like that. And you realize like Uncharted 2 is when like PlayStation's first party really started taking off. Like really was like their bread and butter. It was like wow, like this is first party Sony. Like it's the cinematic moments. Like Uncharted 2 was the first game where it was like you got the truck scene, we got chased in the city. Like that was like mind blowing for the time. It still is. It holds up really really well.
It's wild to think that, you know, what's technically now like my favorite Xbox IP, Gears of War, for the first like 3 to 4 games wasn't even a first party. It was like, you know, it was Epic Games, which was technically just in a deal with them.
Yeah.
And then they eventually bought out the IP and license and stuff, which is
it's true.
Yeah, weird, wild.
PlayStation's the same way. Like they never owned Crash Bandicoot. Crash Bandicoot was their and Spyro were like their icons, and they never owned them. So it's PlayStation. This is when PlayStation really got on its own, like first party wise. Like it really took off with Uncharted 2. It's just it's beautiful tight experience. My only complaint about Uncharted 2 is I think the final boss sucks. I think it's very frustrating, stupid boss fight.
Oh yeah.
But other than that game is near perfect. Uncharted 3 was a big drop off from. Still think it's a good game, but I think it's a big drop off from.
I do not like Uncharted 3 at all.
You're wrong, you guys.
No, I'm not wrong.
I think it's okay.
Uncharted 3 is
No, I didn't say it was bad. I think
opinions.
it's a good game. I think
it's
Uncharted 2 is
bad. I think that fake out towards the end, I fucking hate that fake out so much.
It's pretty good. It was a good game.
Mitch, you strike me as a guy who's on Team Uncharted 3.
No, I think it's okay.
Really, you?
I think it's okay.
It's all right.
Yeah, the guy with the bad taste.
My, how the turntables turned.
Unbelievable.
This is the part where we gotta reference Resident Evil 3. But anyway.
Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up.
Anyway, but Uncharted 4 was like almost as good. So, and Lost Legacy was good too, and Golden Abyss was good. So Uncharted is very consistent. Uncharted 3 is the worst game in the series, and Uncharted is an amazing series because Uncharted 3 was a good game. It just wasn't. It just wasn't on the same standard as 2.
I think like gameplay wise,
3, love 4.
I think gameplay wise 3 is the most polished out of the original trilogy, but story wise, I just think, if anything, I think Uncharted 3 drags on, or at least is less interesting to revisit than even like Uncharted.
It's the least memorable. I don't even think of 3. Like,
yeah, exactly.
I'm so glad they finished off before.
Yeah, I think I can't imagine. You know,
that final section in 1 is so frustrating. God.
Yeah.
It's like Nathan, learn how to take a bullet. God, dude, it's not that hard.
True. 1 is the real worst game.
Oh my god, the first game on Crushing was so brutal.
God.
The game was not designed for that difficulty at all.
No, it was not.
Nope.
I'm with you. All right.
I almost turned it down to easy, and I was playing on normal. That
Yeah.
last section's brutal.
So yeah, that's my number 3. James, what's your number 3?
My number 3 is Uncharted 3. No, it's not.
Just Dory's
gonna
face.
kill
Dory
you.
was right about like.
I was gonna kill you.
No,
It's like a meerkat.
I popped up like a fucking gopher.
Like
I
a
was
meerkat.
like, what? And like a meerkat. Like what? A meerkat. Yeah, go ahead, James. Sorry.
my number 3 is Resistance. Can I do the whole franchise if I promise to be brief, or are you gonna make me pick one? Seb.
Gonna make.
You probably need to
Yes,
pick
I
one.
will.
To be honest with you.
Ah,
I mean, you can cheat a little bit. I cheated. I cheated today, so you can cheat.
great. I'm gonna cheat because it's
Just don't do a 20
look,
minute overview of the series.
It's impossible. I'm gonna keep it brief, but like it's impossible for me to pick a favorite out of these 3 games because they all represent something that I loved. Like, because they all do things so differently. It's such a unique franchise in that they are consistently great games, all 3 of them, but they're
Yeah.
all so different from each other.
Mm.
The first game, right, was like this super gritty, sepia-toned, alternate history shooter. Great co-op campaign, split screen. I remember like playing it with my best friend all the way through, and just having a great time. And like I remember like these tall guys in these incubation tubes that would just like smash the glass and jump out at you. That was the scariest thing ever at the time. Probably not so scary anymore, but and you know that game was the reason I bought a PS3 or asked for a PS3 for my birthday because I was a kid at the time. And because I was over at a friend's house and he had a PS3 and he had a Resistance Fall of Man on it, and I played that game and I was like, wow, I need to get one of these right now. And that's probably the reason I'm sitting here, because that was my first, like, that was when I first
Introduction to
got
PlayStation.
that was when I first got a console and kind of became addicted to games, right? The second game, just a continuation of that with the story and everything, but it did things so differently. Like there was no co-op campaign, which was missed, but they did have, in terms of like the multiplayer, they had this huge co-op kind of campaign that was separate from the single player campaign, and you could do it with like up to 8 players all at once, and like there was so much to love about that.
I think 2 is when I got into this area. Like I don't think I played 1. I think 2 was my introduction to Resistance, and then 3 is the most memorable for me. But I think it's because I played that one the most.
3 holds a special place for me because it was the first one that I got on release. And yeah, I mean, I remember playing the beta for the multiplayer for that, and just having so much fun. And then the full game came out, and I played through it, and they brought back the co-op campaign. I've played through that game so many times, and I maintain, because I've replayed it quite recently, the gameplay in Resistance 3 is still some of the best first-person shooter gameplay ever. It holds up so well. All the weapons feel so unique. They feel so punchy, and it just it works so well. And all 3 of those games are just absolutely brilliant. Some of the best first-person shooters.
We need a comeback. It needs to come back for sure.
It really does. It really does.
It's funny you mention it because I actually just picked this up a couple days ago.
Oh yes.
Funnily enough, it has just taken me. I mean, I noticed it about a year ago, but it's taken me so many years to realize that at the bottom, like the teeth is like, like you got all your famous US landmarks. That's not the camera. I just noticed that. It's taken me so many years to notice that. It's like you got the Statue of Liberty and I'm assuming Empire State Building, all that stuff. I didn't even notice that. It's just really cool art.
I want
to.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I've got a poster, a signed poster of that art up on my wall.
I want to say
It's such a good cover.
I'm kind of jealous of Mitch right now because he's made me I've actually considered like going out and getting a PS3 again and playing like rebuying PS3 games, but
I need
just
someone
don't
to
have the
play
time.
Dead Space 3 with.
I just don't have the. I just.
I need someone to play. Yeah.
I just don't have the
Seb
time
will
with all the
seriously
games.
disappear for a couple of weeks. Good luck, Mitch.
Yeah.
I'm not even joking. I
Yeah.
legit considered buying a PS3, but but the problem was I had 300 PS3 games. I sold all of them. I had every game.
Oh.
So now I don't feel like rebuying things for like $50 and stuff. So
I was lucky enough to get on Facebook Marketplace to find a deal for I think $120. I got the console and 30-40 games.
oh, okay.
And I sold 5 of them and got immediately $70 of that back in reselling.
Yeah.
Um
Like I told you guys,
so yeah.
because like I told you guys, PlayStation's really improving their streaming now with the 4K streaming and everything. So I'm hoping they just add more games at some point, and if they can just make streaming PS3 games really good, then perfect. Because I beat Infamous 1 and 2 on streaming, and it was kind of hard because Infamous 2 was so much going on the screen. The streaming couldn't handle it. I really hope Sony improves their backwards compatibility with at least with streaming. Give me more games and I wouldn't have to go buy PS3.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't want
just
yeah. We gotta start moving on. But I just wanted to say that.
The sad thing is as well though about Resistance 3 is you can't the servers are shut down now for all 3 games.
Yeah.
So you can't play the co-op campaign for Resistance 3 online with anyone.
You can do couch co-op,
Couch
yeah.
co-op,
All right, Dory, we gotta start moving on. Dory,
It's a me.
which number 3?
Yeah, it's a me. Yeah, we're gonna start getting into games that I think are 5 out of 5. Miles is so close to me that it probably is a 5 out of 5, but these 3 games are solidly 5 out of 5.
Yeah.
God of War Ragnarok. I had to pick between God of War and I had to pick between the first and the second. I don't think the second is leaps and bounds better than the first one by any means. They're both 5 out of 5, 10 out of 10, whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
But I do like the story more in God of War Ragnarok, and I just think everything that's great about the first game is done even better in this game, and I don't even think there's anything wrong with the first game. It's the combat is incredible. The voice acting is unbelievable. The graphics are incredible. Almost every single part of the side quests are meaningful. The characters are so well developed. This is a word getting thrown around a lot on Twitter right now, but it's cinema to me. That's just incredible shit. Martin Scorsese, take some notes. But no, seriously, it is such a good game. I was so excited for it when it came out, and I bulldozed through it, and I almost 100%ed it. I got pretty close to, and I have to really love a game to want to spend that much time in it. I'll be plenty of games, but
I still haven't got
really
it
close
myself.
to getting the platinum.
I don't know why.
So I'm the only one that got the platinum.
Maybe.
James, did you
I
get
got
that?
close to getting the platinum.
At least so far.
Yeah.
So, what was the game again?
Ragnarok.
Ragnarok.
No, I didn't get the platinum.
Oh, man.
I think
wasn't that
there's
bad.
little.
Go ahead.
There are little tiny nitpicks here and there, right? I know people were complaining about your allies being a little too chatty sometimes during puzzles, and some people were unimpressed with the RPG mechanics. But you can ignore both of those things pretty easily.
Yeah, they're small stuff.
Yeah, they're really, really, really small stuff. Nitpicking.
The worst part of that game is the menu, but that was a small thing.
Yes. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. So I just absolutely love this game. Yeah.
I was gonna say just quickly, the biggest compliment I can say for this is that it's because I think pretty much all of Sony's recent open world games is that they're I'd often say it's the story is good, but the actual campaign level to level or mission to mission is it kind of comes and goes. You'd have some really great set pieces, and then you'll just have a bunch of ones where you're just kind of walking around talking to people, kind of like a Rockstar game. This in Ragnarok though, every single campaign mission except the Wormwood one or whatever it's called with Atreus and in the forest and stuff, every single mission in that campaign hits hard. like I something I noticed is that like every single mission, you're either in a new location, you're with someone new, or there's a new gameplay mechanic introduced.
Yeah.
And then there's
And
always like
even that part
semi-major
with
story developments happening. Like it's
yeah.
so good. It's so
Even
good.
the part that you mentioned, I mean, I still love that part as kind of a break in the middle of the game, but I
Mm,
understand why it's
yeah.
divisive and why some people felt like I did start to feel as it was just about to end. I'm like,
Yeah,
okay, this is going
exactly.
on a little too long. But like,
Like I think if it
yeah, I
was
agree with you. Otherwise,
yeah.
that game just hits. It's so good.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway,
Exactly.
that's my number 3.
Mm.
Yeah, Ragnarok's great. Really, really good. That would be, go ahead.
Well, I guess I'll continue on then with my number 3, and I'll I'll go God of War, but the first one, the very first
Nice.
one, on PS3, because
Oh, we're talking about like the
they're well, yeah,
PS2,
like the original
2005.
PS2 one,
Oh, okay.
Oh,
yeah,
okay, the first
2005.
game. That's interesting.
Wow.
Because
Yes.
most people say the second one's
Um,
better, but I'm curious about.
I
I'm
haven't played the
curious.
second one yet. That's the only
Oh,
reason.
okay. I'm
I've
curious.
played 1, 3, and then the more recent games.
Hmm.
I I'm literally 2 trophies away from the platinum in that game. I just have to beat the challenge of the gods and do the speed run.
Yeah.
Have I told you guys the story of how I had to restart the game 3 hours
Yes, you
in,
did
but
tell us that. I
realized that
remember
I
it
didn't
ended
actually
up
have
being
to
that you
because I
missed the
was a
switch or
dumbass.
something, or
No, I
I
was
forget
just
what
a
it was.
complete dumbass and was holding the R2 button instead of mashing it to open a door.
Right,
So I
yep,
wasted
I,
that's what it
about
was.
I I do remember that.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
yeah, so I wasted about 5 hours wholesale.
Painful.
That's as
Um,
long
I
as
would
the
have cried
game.
but
myself to
That's
anyways,
just
sleep.
like
but
as long as the
anyways,
game, basically. The game is not super long.
yeah, yeah, exactly. But yeah, I had a ton of fun with it. Like
Hmm.
it's definitely, I don't know, I think like it occasionally skirts that line of like, mid 2000s edgy gamerness,
Very,
with some
yeah.
of its stuff, but like
Yeah.
it's fairly balanced. Like it's aged fairly well, like it's not
Yeah.
like, at least in the first game, Kratos isn't like entirely a dick. Like he's still a dick. He's still a terrible person, but like, like he's at
Yeah.
least, you can at least attach to him to an
And you can at
extent.
least understand his
Um,
motivations, right? I mean, Ares
yeah,
pushed him into
exactly.
killing his whole family, so he just wants revenge. I mean,
Exactly.
I can't
Yeah.
really blame
Exactly.
him.
And I think the way the story and plot progresses, I think it's fantastic. Like it's simple, but it's,
Yeah.
it's epic.
I.
And
Yeah.
even for like for the PS2, like I played on the PS3, but even for the PS2, just the scale of it and what they managed to pack in is just insane. Like with how you've got tiny little Kratos in the foreground, and then like you have like a giant Ares, like what, hundreds of miles away, but you can still see him, like fighting armies in the distance. And it's like, even like playing it now, like what, 18 years on since it came out, I'm still
Yeah.
like, yeah, that's cool. That blows me away. I also really love the combat in this. Like it's, it's God of War. It's basically what, aside from Devil May Cry, what basically completely took over the action adventure subgenre for like, I want to say 5 to 8 years until like the PS4 gen came out.
Yeah. What a
Um,
year.
yeah,
2005.
yeah.
I have so many memories when I was 12. I got introduced. That's when Resident Evil 4 came out, and Devil May Cry, and God of War
Oh
1.
shit, yeah,
So that was a
yeah,
huge year. This for
exactly,
PS2, like iconic
100%.
games. Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't know really what else to say, but yeah, like it's a great game. I'm excited to hop into number 2 because I've heard it's like, yeah, the best of the trilogy. And then I'm hoping to, yeah, eventually go back, and I've got it. I'm still yet to play Ascension, which I'm interested
It's
in
okay.
because I've heard,
It's solid.
yeah, that's the general consensus. Like it's solid, but it's like it's definitely the point where the formula started to
Yes.
get a bit old. So
People got
yeah,
tired.
no,
Yeah,
I'm
Kratos in that game. Yeah.
100%, 100%. But yeah, I'm excited to hop back into all of them.
Yeah. So number 2, I could do the James thing and say all of God of War, But that I won't do that. I could say God of War 2 from 2007, 2006. Because that game is almost like that game's almost on the same level as God of War 2018. But ultimately, God of War 2018 is just so iconic. Like
you
game
could
of
just
the,
say
Go ahead.
every God of War game directed by Cory Barlog. That's the cheat.
Yeah, you can say that. Yes.
True.
I mean, God of War 1 like was mind blowing at the time. It was just so cool. And then God of War 2 like improved on God of War 1 so much in almost every way. Like it was just insanely good. That's like a masterpiece almost in this genre. And then God of War 3, the beginning scene was just incredible. Like God of War 3's opening sequence is so iconic. It's one of the greatest moments in all PlayStation. And the storyline was okay, solid. But 2018 is when the series really like became like, oh my god, like it was already great, but this is when it's like now we're talking like goaty kind of stuff. Like God of War 2018 changed everything. It really gotten that higher status. I think when it came Game of the Year, like it was mind blowing. I know Dory. I understand why Dory picked Ragnarok over 2018 because I think Ragnarok is a better game than 2018. Like in terms of like it improves on 2018, but I think 2018 is more iconic. Like the fact that it made Kratos like a sympathetic dad figure when he was just like a rampaging monster. It was just incredible. Like it was amazing how they made Kratos into like this and like on the like Joel. It was really you never get that in the industry. You would never see it. Usually when a series does such a drastic change, it fails, and they somehow they accomplished it. And not just accomplished it, but made it like it actually beat out Rockstar's like masterpiece. So it was. I mean. There's things about it that there's nitpicks like I have with the menu wasn't good and some things were the same enemies over and over and over again, but getting the platinum was a bit tedious, collecting all the ravens and shit. Even the Ragnarok had that too though. But overall, I couldn't put that game down from start to finish. I platinumed that game twice on 2 different accounts. I almost thought about playing it on PC, but I was like, I don't have other games to play. But that game is just. It would be the greatest PlayStation game ever made, if not for the next game I'm going to mention, which we all know what's going to be said next. But God of War is just it's incredible, absolutely incredible.
This is definitely an elephant in the room that has yet to be mentioned by any of us, suspiciously.
Or a giraffe.
Or a giraffe.
Oh, I should have said that. I knew there was a joke there somewhere.
You had one job. You blew it.
I had one fucking job. God damn it.
All right, James, what's your number 2?
All right, James.
Before I get to my number 2, actually, I want to mention because I realized I totally forgot. I kind of glossed over Resistance 2, the main draw of that, and I don't want to take up too much time, but I do want to mention like Resistance 2 had the best story of the 3. Like that end, like Mitch, I know you picked up Resistance 3. I don't know if you picked up the other 2 or plan on playing the other 2.
Maybe not anytime soon. Like mainly, I mean, it sounds stupid, but like Resistance 3 is the only one that I can actually still get the platinum on. I definitely plan on playing them at some point, but I'm like, and not to mention, Resistance 3, funnily enough, was actually the very first game I ever played on a PlayStation 3, like at someone else's house.
Yeah.
Because like back in the day, everyone else had an Xbox 360, but then like this one time, I went over to like a family friend's house and they had Resistance 3, and I played like probably about an hour of it with my brother on like couch co-op, and it was like, oh shit, this is fun, So yeah, like I mean, I guess if I really want to stretch it, I could say it also has some reverence to me, but yeah, that's.
If you enjoy 3, I definitely recommend going back and playing the other one because Seb will know this because you've played them, right? All 3 of them.
I played 2 and 3.
You played 2 and 3 anyway. The ending of 2 is phenomenal.
Like, I mean, like I already know story-wise what happens, but
yeah.
The way it
plays out, it's definitely something.
The plot,
exactly.
Like I said,
is just oh my god.
I think it's only a matter of time until they put all the games on PS Plus.
Yeah,
They,
and I
they're
think-
putting all
I
the,
don't
they're
think
putting
it'll-
all the Killzone games on there now, so I can see Resistance coming up at some point.
God, I hope so. But my
Yeah.
actual number 2
Mm-hmm.
is Journey.
That's a good.
Wow.
A lot of people would put that. That's a
Oh.
good choice.
Not
Sure.
an exclusive anymore, but it was when
Yeah.
it came out, and for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what can I say? It's that game company's magnum opus. It's a transcendent indie game. It's one of the best indie games ever made. If you
Mm-hmm.
can, the term indie game gets a little muddy because it was published by Sony, but it falls into that kind of sphere. And it's a gorgeous game, one of the most beautiful games ever, if you ask me. The fact that the gameplay is so simple, but there's something so satisfying about sliding down those sand dunes and stuff. There's no dialogue whatsoever. The entire story is told through like murals and cutscenes with characters who don't speak. They just interact with each other. And there's the beautiful thing of you're playing alongside other people, and it's like the first time you run into another player, you don't necessarily know they're another player because there's no name tags above people. And they never intended that to be like this cool thing where you think this is an NPC. Like, the reason there's no name tags above other players is because they didn't want you to be going through this beautiful journey and to have, Noob Slayer 69 come up next to you, right?
Yeah.
But
Good old
it
Noob
works so
Slayer
well.
69.
It works so well to like not have to not know the names of the people that you're playing with. It's like it's this beautiful journey. You're like these strangers next to you, and you're just taking this journey together. And it's only like 2 hours long. It's a beautifully digestible experience. And then you get to the end, and it's this kind of feeling of like everything's like culminating in this final moment, and then you finish the game, and you see your character kind of ascend into this kind of shooting star that goes back to the start of the game, and you realize as the credits go by, and this is shooting above in the sky, you realize it's the same thing that you saw at the start of the game, and it's like this loop, and it's just this beautiful thing of like this journey starting over and over again in this cycle. And yeah, it's truly a beautiful game.
That's a good choice. That is a very good choice. I think a lot of PlayStation, like true PlayStation gamers, would be very happy with that on the list because that's one of the most iconic PlayStation games of all time, for sure. It's immediately recognizable. Even though I joke with you or rag on you about liking it so much, but actually I think it's a very good game. I beat it multiple times over the years, and yeah, it's really good. It's very iconic, like I said.
And it's so replayable as well because it is so short.
Yeah,
It's only a couple hours. The
best
you can play it in the same time you could watch a movie.
Yes, exactly. And as you mentioned, most like it's just a unique experience. The fact that you can play a game with somebody, you can't interact with them in any way except for like just making noises, and you go on a whole journey with one person, and it's like
and you can only
and you go ahead.
you can only help each other.
You can only help.
There's no way to hinder other players. Like
Yeah.
it's not.
Yeah.
It's like it's not competitive. It's just this pure, and you want to help people along. Like you see this person, you're like, come on, I'll show you the way.
Except
right, like follow me.
Although you tried to, though I was supposed to get the freaking trophy for playing the whole game with one person, and the one person decided to go run off. Like right when we're on the mountain, he decided to go run away and somewhere else. I'm like, dude, we're right there. Well, give me. And that pissed me off. But yeah, but yeah. That's a really good choice. Dory, what's your number 2?
All right, everybody. Bring me your hate. Bring me your energy, your negative energy, because I am unleashing the giraffe from the zoo. My number 2 pick is The Last of Us Part 2.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it rhymed.
It
Sorry,
rhymed,
sorry.
too, so it must be true. I didn't even intend that rhyme, I swear to God.
No.
Everybody put down your golf clubs. Calm down. Look, I fucking love this game a lot. It is one of my favorite games of all time. I love it so much that I speedran it with trivia with Mitch once. It's such a fun, awful game at the same time. It is brutal. I mean, absolutely fucking brutal. You know, the twist is what the twist is. We all know
It's
about
a
it.
very miserable
And
experience.
the characters are divisive as they ever have been. But I love all the characters. I love all the decisions. I love the gameplay, the graphics. My love of Ellie as a character is just, you know, so founded on the DLC and this game, and of course the first game too, but especially this game, where she just really comes into her own, and for better or worse, obviously. I think the stuff with Abby is just brilliant. Obviously, not the first game to do that kind of thing, but I do think it does it brilliantly. There are minutia and aspects that I could nitpick about, various behind the scenes stuff or whatever, but for the most part, I mean, this is just a brilliant game that I adore and wish more people could appreciate. But I already know, given how many people have beaten the game, you know, just about half of the player base who've actually played it, which is a wild number. Lots of people love this game, or at least hate played it. So it's just an excellent game. In
I am
every sense
I
of
was,
the word.
I'm seeing like at least on like, you know, like the occasional browse of like Reddit or Instagram or whatever, like seeing a vast amount more positive comments for part 2 as opposed to like, say, you know, like a year or two ago when like obviously people were still, you know, like sort of hating on it and still making their entire
That was literally,
personalities.
I mean, the leak that happened to Naughty Dog, literally some of those people who were at the studio said that was the worst day of their life. You know, I mean, that's just got to be fucking awful.
Rough,
When the game came out, I remember thinking, in the sea of hatred that it got, I was just so I was so glad that all of us were kind of united in
positive
how much
on
we
it,
loved
yeah.
it and appreciated it.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's like, it's especially given that it's a game that swings for the fences so much.
Yep.
And it's like most games where you'd say like they're emotionally resonant, like, or that there's an emotional layer to it, or it made you cry or something like that. Like, there's one single gut punch at the end that kind of sets you wailing, right? With this game, there are several gut punches along the way. I could not count them on one hand. The amount of emotional beats that story hits perfectly, and it never, like, there are pacing issues, like there are criticisms. It's not a perfect game. It's a flawed masterpiece, and like just the fact that it swings so much for the fences, and it lands it. It's a miracle.
It really, you know, without saying too much, I mean, I know it's been a few years now, but I'll try to be vague. But I mean, it gives you, it shows you that picture, that promise of, here's the happy ending that you want. Here's the happy ending for the characters. And then it's like, but nah, you're not getting that. And like, I know, but psych. And I know a lot of people didn't like that, and I understand. Look, you know, in a perfect universe, I too would have had it end where some people wanted it to end, but I think it was incredibly. I mean, maybe brave is the wrong word, but I think narratively speaking, it was brave to deny us that and say like, here's this instead. Like, sometimes things don't work out for the best, and sometimes the world is a really dark place, and you lose a lot of people. I just
something
think,
you know, like oftentimes at least once upon a time, I just, like, on my own, like, I just, like, you know, can't come up with like alternate stories or rewrites for games or movies that, you know, like, I even ones I liked, and ones I'm like, oh, you know, story could have been better, I would have done this and that. I've, like, in my head, I've probably done up like at least half a dozen different versions of part 2, and like how that similar story could have gone, and like, I couldn't think of any better. Like, obviously, you know, like, without making me sound like an egotistical dick, like, I couldn't think of anything that I'm like, yeah, I strongly believe that this would have been like a better writing decision than what we actually got in the game. Which isn't to say that like everything's perfect or anything, but it's like the journey that it took you on for where it like for what it actually meant. Yeah, I couldn't think of any other way.
I also completely. I mean, like, there are definitely, like I said, a couple of nitpicks. There are some boss fights that I'm not especially fond of, and there are some pacing decisions that I think could have been adjusted, but those fall so flat compared to everything else that this game does right. And the beautiful art that we got. I think Ellie and Dina's relationship is one of the most powerful I've ever seen. Gay, straight, whatever, it doesn't matter. Like, it's such a good relationship, and it's so nuanced. It's so well done. Her relationship with Joel is so excellent and well done. And oh man, hey, I'm gonna stop talking about it before I start crying. I started thinking about that scene towards the end of the game with her and Joel.
You guys hit on everything with the story. I have nothing to add. The pacing, I had all the problems with the pacing. Like I didn't like the structure of the story. I didn't like how it like just jumps to a whole different character like midway through the game. But that's not a major thing. You guys, but the only thing you guys didn't really hit on yet is how amazing the gameplay is. Like it's the greatest third-person shooter of all time, in my opinion. Like gameplay wise, just the fact that like even the NPCs interact with each other and the character literally grieves when you kill their friend, and that realism is just mind blowing. The gore,
incredible. It's such an upgrade from the first game. I don't even think it's as bad as some people say it is, but there's no denying that it's an upgrade from the first game. It is an incredible pick up from the first.
The greatest third person shooter of all time. The animation is
so much fun.
Yeah,
the animations are incredible. The gunplay is incredible. The stealth is incredible. I mean, this game just does everything so well. I had so much fun replaying levels, which I almost never do.
Yeah.
I had so much fun with the speedrun that Mitch and I did. It was just such an incredibly fun experience to play, for sure.
Yes, it's my game of the year. My game of the year of 2020 for sure. I love it just as much as you guys, but. I'd probably like it the least of the three of you, but I still like it's like a 9.5. So that's not saying much.
Yeah.
Because
it's all splitting hairs.
Yeah, because the pacing is I don't like the pacing, and there was elements of the story I did not like. I didn't love the second game story as much as the first game. I died. I'm not like I don't like. I can't say I didn't like the ending. I thought I wasn't like. It didn't resonate with me as much as like other elements in the story, and like there was other moments in that game that were more impactful than me. I was kind of like, when I finished it. I didn't have like, oh my god. I was more like, and I just sat there, thought about it for like 20 minutes while the credits were playing. But to me, it's like if they're gonna make a part 3 now, which is like pretty much all but confirmed at this point. I still feel like Ellie should get like I'm not saying they should ride off to the sunset and have a happy ending, but I think the whole point now is like we got the second game is like Empire Strikes Back. Everything's bad. Everything just went to shit. She regrets all her decisions. And now the third game is like redemption. In my opinion, I think the third game should be more about like Ellie learning from her mistakes now. Like, I went down a dark path. Now it's time we can start rebuilding and But that's how I would do it. But other people are a little more cynical and darker than me. But
first one's about love. Second one's about hate. Third one's about redemption.
Exactly. That's what I would do.
Yeah.
But
easy.
Yes, but so we gotta move on.
It's easy, Neil Druckmann. Come on. No, I'm kidding.
Mitch. What's your number 2?
Mitch. I'm split between which of these two I want to choose, but okay. Number 2, kind of just mostly because you guys have already taken all the other good picks, like The Last of Us. I'd say Infinite Second Son. Like, probably not my number 2, but it is one of not the first, but like one of the very first games I ever played on PS4. It's the reason I got a PS4 besides Batman Arkham Knight, because that was next gen only, and I didn't have a PS4 at the time.
Yeah, definitely like my
but
third.
yeah,
My third played PS4.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's brilliant. Honestly, like it's just so much fun. It really, I think, like as someone who's playing like through the first Infamous game at the moment, I think the first game handles like the nuances of the karma system a lot better. Like, you know, you actually have to actively make your decisions instead of, you know, just like pressing a button as to like, oh, do I do the good decision or do I do the bad decision? But I think the fact that for the first time you actually properly got to switch between different power sets on the fly.
Yeah.
There was lots of upgrades for it. The traversal was just so much better than the first game. Yeah, I just had a lot of fun with it. I think also big reason is that it had the First Light DLC, which had this like challenge arena type mode where you just like, you know, fought off a bunch of enemy waves and got a high score. That was fun. I sunk so many hours into that
Yeah.
when that game came out. That was so much fun. But yeah, other than that, like it's, you know, good story, not perfect, but yeah, it's just got a lot of nostalgia for me.
Yeah, that's a solid choice. I mean, I personally think Infamous 1 and 2 are better, but
Yeah.
that game was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I platinumed
I
all of
haven't
them.
finished-
I love
PS4
the
ones. I
movement,
mean.
and I love the movement in Second Son a lot, and a lot of the effects, especially the electronic powers, are super cool.
Yeah.
Overall,
Yes.
I felt kind of underwhelmed by the game, but like I said before with Forbidden West, I'm very picky about my open world games, so that doesn't mean a ton.
I
But I still enjoyed it. I thought it was an alright game.
Although I think
Yeah.
because you played it like pretty late, like you're like 20. Like was it this decade?
Yeah,
right?
I played it 2021. Yeah, I played
Yeah,
it
so-
Christmas 2021.
So it's a different. I think it doesn't age as well. I think like
Yeah,
than it
that's
did like
probably
in
true, too.
2014, like or wherever it came out. So,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Yeah, 2014.
is that everything? So before we move on.
Yeah, no, that's pretty much everything.
Well, I don't really have anything to add for my number one because obviously it's The Last of Us. But
Yeah.
now I could cheat. I guess it's the first game. I think the first game is better. Like, well, more iconic. Like second game, I'll put them together. How about that? But the first game is probably is number one just because it changed everything in terms of like Uncharted 2 paved the way for like cinematic games for Sony, and like it started the whole like just amazing first party template that we had. Like almost every game we mentioned has been from the last 10 years, right? We didn't really mention that many games from the 2000s and the 90s, even though Dory and I grew up in that era.
Yeah, exactly.
It's because that's when Sony's first party really became what it is today. And I think Last of Us Part 1 is, or Last of Us at the time, is what really transcended Sony's first party and what transcended Naughty Dog into what it is today. I mean, Naughty Dog was already amazing with Jak and Daxter and Crash Bandicoot and stuff, but this is an Uncharted. But Last of Us is when it really like solidified them as one of the best developers in the world. And even though the second game is better in like gameplay wise and everything, it just the first game's story is so iconic. Like it's just like they just adapted it into an HBO show that was a huge hit. I mean, it's
the safe. Yeah, sorry, I was gonna say part one is the safer story. It's the more consistent story, I guess.
The road trip story. I mean, it's hard to go wrong with that.
Exactly. Like it's consistent to almost zero fault.
Yeah.
It's like whereas part two is divisive. But anyways, we've already talked about that.
Yeah. I'm not gonna get into part two, but because you already hit on everything. But part one, in terms of, like the beginning moment, is just like that drew me in immediately. I got this game in 2013. Like this is one of my first. Like, it was one of my. I was blown away on the PS3. I was just like the visuals. Like obviously they don't age well as much anymore, but like back then it was like my
they
god.
Still hold up. Yeah.
They still hold up, but like you can definitely see the difference if you play the remake.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But but yeah.
They didn't do much with the gameplay in the remake, right? Or the remaster.
They didn't do anything
it was
really.
It was the same game. Yeah.
Okay.
But the visuals were like night and day. Like
the visuals were obviously.
Like if you're a Last of Us fan, I would definitely recommend it, especially since like it's on sale all the time. But it like first of all, I remember it being really hard. Like my first time playing it, I was dying a lot, and then like years later, like I could beat the game on ground, like survival or whatever. So, there's that. But the game is just full of like iconic moments, iconic characters, iconic lines, iconic enemies. Everything in that game is just like iconic. It's just when I think of a game, it's like one of the first games you think of is like iconic. Like it's like in its genre, like third person adventure games. It's like Ellie and Joel became like household names. Like when you think of PlayStation, it's like the first thing you think of is Joel and Ellie, or Kratos or Nathan Drake. They're on that level. It's like it's like their de facto mascot basically now at this point. So even though I think part 2 is an objectively better game, I think part 1 is just more iconic. It's kind of same thing with God of War 2018 and Ragnarok. I think Ragnarok's a better game.
Yeah.
But I think 2018 is just more iconic, and that's why I would say Last of Us is the greatest game of all time for PlayStation. I think not only that, they gave PlayStation so much momentum going into the PS4 era. It came out the year before. No, it came out the same year. PS4 came out, I believe. Same thing like Last of Us Part 2 came out the same year PS5 came out. And the momentum of Xbox screwing up and Last of Us being so iconically praised and like everybody praised it as a masterpiece, it propelled PlayStation back into number 1 after being arrogant and blown on PS3 like they did. And it just changed the industry. Like it was so memorable and iconic that it changed the entire industry. And
to think that we got Bioshock Infinite, The Last of Us, like the Tomb Raider reboot, all those games in 1 year on top of the PS4 and Xbox One is insane.
It sucked, but yeah. But you guys hear me?
Can't hear you, Seb.
You can't hear me?
Oh yeah, sorry, you were muted.
I wasn't even muted. That was just
or was
weird.
that just me?
Yeah, that was weird.
No, it's not just you. I also can't hear him.
Okay.
You hear me now?
Okay, cool.
You hear me?
Cool.
You good?
Oh.
I mean, not cool, but...
Can you hear me? Can't hear me?
Seb, try saying something. No, I still can't hear you. Can you hear us?
That's weird.
Just scream incoherently until we do.
Yeah, just like an Anchorman kind of thing.
Oh,
I'm in a glass case of
Say
emotion.
something, Seb?
I don't know why.
Oh, there you go.
There we go.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
weird.
He's
Because nothing unplugged or anything. I was just like, I heard a click
Okay.
and then something happened. I don't know. I tell you, this Discord's
well,
just messing up,
We're
man.
almost done. We're almost there. Finish line.
That's James.
Oh, I'm done anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's James.
It's me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's you.
I mean, look, my number 1, obviously, it's The Last of Us Part 2. I was gonna go both in, but it is The Last of Us Part 2. I'm not gonna go in on it again. We've talked about it, but like, I just have to say, it's not only my favorite game of all time by a long, long shot. It's also my favorite thing ever. I like it better than Hamilton. I like it better than Jeff Buckley's Grace. I like it better than Parasite. And the TV show is never going to do it justice.
Mm.
That was always the case, unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing. I actually feel sorry for people who are gonna experience that story for the first time through the TV show, because I feel like there's no way it cannot be an inferior version of that story. And like if you experience it for the first time through the TV show, you're never gonna get to experience it for the first time through the game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the hottest. I was the hottest on the show out of I think all of us, and like relatively, right? None of us were like, negative on it. But like even I was like, yeah, the games are better.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I think in general that like if you played the games, you didn't like the show as much. But if you didn't know the games at all, you absolutely were like blown away by the show.
I was just going to say that I'm thankful that The Last of Us Part 1 has an easier trophy list, and you don't have to do the multiplayer to get the platinum.
Oh yeah, thank God for that. I agree. I got the platinum on Part 1. I was like, the only reason I don't have a platinum in the first game is because of the multiplayer trophies. It's the only trophies I'm missing. So if you and I ever want to if you ever want to get that platinum, I can do it with you because That's the ones I'm missing.
I mean, I was gonna say I literally just downloaded the game again yesterday to try and grind through the rest of the multiplayer because I've just got what I just started the second path, so like I've got another like what 60, 70 games to go, and then I've got it.
Yeah.
Like because the issue is that like I like the multiplayer in the first game. It's good multiplayer. It's just that the matches go on for way too long, and you have to do way too many of them.
Yeah. I agree. I'm not a multiplayer person anyway. Like I just don't feel like doing that.
I've become less and less of a multiplayer person over the past year, to be honest. Like I'm now I'm increasingly realizing that despite buying the Destiny 2 season pass, haven't touched it since the
Yeah.
Lightfall expansion launched.
Yeah, I
haven't touched it.
Plus, it doesn't help that like multiplayer games are lacking. But I don't get on a tangent. But yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah.
But yeah. So Dory, close it
Yeah.
out. What is your number?
All right, time to bring us home.
Take us
Number
home.
So my number one was only released for the PS2, and is not going to surprise anybody. It's my favorite game, probably of all time. I've beaten it many, 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 many times. I am on the leaderboard for speed runs. I think I'm number 100.
I know what you're gonna say.
Yeah. It's Kingdom Hearts 2, specifically Final Mix. Did I just rate a children's game over The Last of Us Part 2? You're damn right. Look, in all seriousness, like I probably told this story before. I was going through. So I grew up with Kingdom Hearts for starters. I was going through a very, very hard time in my life when I got back into video games. I really needed that as an escape to deal with some of the problems I was dealing with, many of which were my own dumbass fault. And Kingdom Hearts was one of the first series I really wanted to revisit as an adult. And honestly, I can say that Kingdom Hearts like brought me closer to not wanting to make some very bad choices with my life at that time, is how I'll put it. And I was in a very bad place, and I think its message of friendship and its message of just being very lighthearted and easy to play and just easy to get into, and something really to, with all the lore and stuff like that, easy to really delve into. It's one of those things in my life that I've gotten very attached to emotionally, but I also just think Kingdom Hearts 2 is a damn good game. It's one of the best action RPGs of all time, and it's not just me who thinks that. A lot of people thought that at the time and still think that now. It holds up incredibly well. The combat is very, very good. The drive forms, the limit form, the secret boss battles. There's so much replayability. You could play this game for 30 hours and feel done, or you could play it for 100 and feel done. There is a lot to see post-game. There's, obviously things about this game you can criticize. It's not perfect, just like every other game on my list. The levels that are the most experimental, like the Lion King world, and of course the Ariel world, Little Mermaid world, where it's a musical, not particularly good, but those worlds are also completely optional and you don't have to do them. So I think that balances itself out. Critical mode is just one of the best hard modes I've ever played in a video game. I think it's so fun. You take double damage, but your enemies also take double damage, which I think is just such a fun concept. It's challenging as hell, but rewarding. The story and the characters, I love a lot. I know Kingdom Hearts can be very divisive with its story and its characters, but I think it's incredible. I, again, have some criticisms there, especially with how they deal with Kairi. But that be that as it may, I think that overall Kingdom Hearts 2 has one of the best stories in Kingdom Hearts, and honestly could have ended the franchise right there, and I don't think anyone would have thought twice about it. So I love Kingdom Hearts 2 a lot. I played it a lot, and I've beaten it a lot. I go back to it a lot. Still on my PS5 home screen. I played it on PS3, 4, and 5. I haven't played on PC. I was really tempted to give it all the mods and stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's just such an incredible experience, and I really recommend it for anybody. You don't have to like the story. You don't have to think it's like the greatest piece of art ever or whatever to enjoy it. I really think, though, that it is one of the best action RPGs of all time, and the characters are incredibly lovable. And it's just a fun time. And I it's a tough sell between Kingdom Hearts Final Mix and Kingdom Hearts 3. So I really just have to go with nostalgia on this one. If pressed for choice, I would speedrun Kingdom Hearts 2 over Kingdom Hearts 3, and I would probably play the secret bosses of 3 over 2. But I don't know, even that. Like I would go back and forth on. Really, the only bad thing I can say that hasn't aged well is the movement, because it's a PS2 game, right? And some of the movement options are really good, but it just doesn't compare to how fast you are in modern games, especially Kingdom Hearts 3. So yeah, I just wanted to shout out that game, one of my favorites of all time, probably my favorite of all time. And I'm literally wearing a Kingdom Hearts shirt right now that says "Protect Trans Folks." So I'm living my life. But yeah, Kingdom Hearts 2, super good. And it could never be like earlier. You'd have an excuse to not be able to play it, right? Because it was so hard to get and stuff like that. Now that's not true anymore. It's on PC. It's on PlayStation 3, 4, 5, 2. It's on basically every PlayStation system. It's on Xbox. It's on everything. It's on Switch. I mean, I don't think you should play it on Switch, but it's on Switch. You can play it pretty much everywhere. So there's really no excuse to not play it, obviously, unless you don't want to. Totally valid. But yeah, that's my number one pick. Kingdom Hearts 2, specifically Final Mix.
Man, so see, my list, I try to keep it first party only, because otherwise, if I did a top 5, like a legit top 5 of PlayStation games I played ever, Kingdom Hearts 2 would be my top 5. Kingdom Hearts 2 is the greatest.
I did try to go for PS2.
Yeah.
I did try to go for PlayStation exclusives, which this originally was. So.
Yeah. Kingdom Hearts 2 is iconic. It's one of the. I love that game. That game so much. Top 20 game of all time for me. I stayed home from school that day when it came out. I remember convincing my parents to stay home.
I stayed up till like 2 or 3 in the morning and had to wake up at like 6 or 7 a.m. for middle school. So
that was one of those games where I like couldn't. I lived and breathed it. Like I couldn't. The week of waiting for it, I was like, it's like all I thought about. I was so excited to play it. Yeah. It's one of the greatest action JRPGs of all time. Not even close. It's the best Kingdom Hearts game. I don't even think it's close. I think it's like by far the best Kingdom Hearts game. Great story, great characters, great animation, great action scenes, memorable moments, dialogue, everything. The game is iconic. So yeah, my like I said, I try to keep it first party only. My list personally. So, but if I was being like, if I picked PlayStation, it'd be Kingdom Hearts 2, and then Metal Gear Solid 3, Devil May Cry 3, things like that. But that's a great choice. Kingdom Hearts 2. Ironically, of all the games I mentioned, right, besides Last of Us, the first game I think of when I think of PlayStation is Kingdom Hearts 2. So when I think of PS2 era, I think of PlayStation. I mean, I think of Kingdom Hearts 2 immediately. So very first game I think of is Kingdom Hearts 2. It's iconic. So those are all great choices. I think we've hit on pretty much all the big PlayStation games over the years. And like I said,
I was saying earlier too, real quick, I just love that all of our lists are very different from each other. That's all I want to say real quick.
I mean, I'm intentionally trying to be different, but also, yes.
Yeah, I mean, Mitch is being edgy, but the rest of us are actually trying.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, I mean, and it represents all our choices really well. Like, of course, like, there's so many of them, right? There's so many big games. Like, people love Parappa the Rapper and Twisted Metal and Siphon Filter, and those are all classic franchises. But I think the ones we all mentioned are like the best of the best. And I think, and the fact that they're all from like the last 10, 15 years says a lot. Like how much Sony's first party has come. That they still rely on third party like mostly nowadays, but their first party is so iconic on the level of like Nintendo, and it's like that wasn't like that like 20 years ago. It's really, they've really come a long way. So. Yeah, that was a really fun topic. Obviously, it was very long, but we all had fun with that topic. So that's our episode.
I am glad we didn't do a top 10.
Yeah. Top 10 could have been done if it was like if it was the whole thing, not just like added on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really fun. I look forward. We should do this for another platform at some point. I don't know, but we'll see. Yeah.
I'd honestly, I mean, I'm not sure how much Dory would be able to contribute, but I'd love to do like a top 5, 7th gen, like PS3, Xbox 360 gen games.
Oh, that'd be good.
I'd love to go over that.
Oh,
yeah,
that'd be fun.
Because I know Dory wasn't gaming
I like
as
stopped
much
around
during that, but
2011. Yeah, I stopped gaming around like
Yeah,
2011.
yeah, okay.
So
That's like 5 years
yeah,
still.
the
Maybe, maybe not.
PS3. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Because 2011 is
Yeah,
like
we'll
past
see,
the
we'll
peak
see.
of 360, I think.
I basically missed like when the PS4 came out. I think.
Okay.
Or
Well,
maybe
that era
PS3.
was kind of lacking.
well,
Anyway.
yeah.
Well, 2011 was great.
Yeah,
I mean, but 2014 was like kind of it was really bad, and 2015 was just like Bloodborne, mainly. So 2015 it was lacking until
Yeah.
2016 is when everything took off. Like Uncharted 4 came out. Anyway, yeah. So next
that's right.
week is gonna be very stacked. So be prepared for that. Be prepared for that. I'm gonna be talking about Ahsoka and One Piece and Sea of Stars and Starfield will be right around the corner. So
Just for clarification, I
We'll
think
have
Seb
we'll have
means
game
next
we'll have
episode, not next
Gamescom.
week.
yeah, next whatever. I always say that. Next episode. Whatever
Yeah,
that's
he always
Yeah.
says that. Next episode.
next
Dragon Ball
episode.
Z.
Yeah, nah, and we'll see what happens.
Gamescom is also happening in a few days.
And Gamescom's happening.
yeah,
Right.
who knows?
Is anyone?
Yeah.
Is anyone watching Twisted Metal? Because
I
no.
I have Peacock
I've
now,
heard,
so I will.
I've watched it
I've
from
heard
few
decent
videos,
things about
but
it.
I think I'm gonna watch it. So
It's on my
we'll talk about that
agenda
at some
for
point.
this week. Yeah. Yeah.
So you
I,
and Seb can talk
I'll
about it.
say yeah.
So I'm gonna be next
Yeah.
episode. I'm gonna be very show heavy. I'm gonna talk about 3 shows. If I watch Twisted Metal, One Piece, and Ahsoka, I have 3 shows to talk about. So it's gonna be a very loaded episode.
Mm.
Yep. All right. You all have a good night. Peace.
Bye.
Goodbye.